Yeah, welcome back to Kingdom of Creators. I know it's been 2 weeks since I released the video. It's was Christmas and then New Year, so a lot of traveling, and so I wasn't able to put up a video. But let me quickly talk to you about what the technical charts are saying about the market itself, and as well as the stocks that have been accumulating over this past. So if you are new to this channel, if you haven't subscribed to our channel before, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. And you can also click on the bell notification so that you get notifications when the next video. And I would love to have your support because this is something that I think is really important for all the retail investors out there to how to figure out how to make value investments and to get a good return on those. Okay, so basically, what I do is I do a lot of retail investments. I don't do a lot of F&O trading. I do some on the side, but most of my investments are into the equity market, and I look at swing trading or short-term trading, and I use technical charts to figure out which stocks to enter and when to make that entry. And now, technical chart analysis is not that hard. It's not rocket science. It's quite easy. It's just a matter of putting a lot of hard work in, putting a little effort in, and figuring out when a stock is undergoing a technical chart breakup. And if you combine this with volume, see when there's a high amount of stock accumulation, that will really help you improve your investment skills. Just these two things, figuring out how to do technical chart analysis and then matching it with an increase in volume will help you really do well in your investment journey. All right. So let me quickly show you how I do that, as well as what the market is looking like and some of the stocks that I've been accumulating and buying. All right. So first of all, I want to talk to you about how my investments are doing so far. A disclaimer here: the market is almost at a at a high. 22,000 is very close by, and we've gone up a lot the last 2-3 months. So we need to understand that at this point, what we're trying to do is we're trying to book profits. Okay, we're not trying to look into aggressively adding a lot of investments, trying to reduce and build up our cash reserves so that if and when a dip comes, we can accumulate even more, right? And that's the process that I use. Very simple. So right now, let me see. I have about 147 stocks that I'm holding in my investment portfolio. Now, out of these 147, what's interesting that I've noted so far is that 91 of these stocks are at either a 10% or more profit, okay, as of now. There is about 32 stocks that are between 10 to 0% gains, right? And then there's another 21 stocks that are between 0 to minus 10 of a notional loss, right? And there are only 3 stocks that are below or greater than 10% loss, notional loss as of now. So if you look at this, out of the 147 stocks, 91, which is almost 65%, right? Nearly 65% of the stocks that I'm holding have gained more than 10%, right? In fact, some of them are up in the 250s to 80% returns in just 1 year. And that's phenomenal, right? On the other, and then there is another 32 stocks, which is another 20% of the stocks that I've invested in that have shown a gain somewhere between 0 to 10%. So if you add this up, that's saying about 85% of the stocks that I've invested in this current year have shown some sort of gain. The remaining 15%, right? It's about, like I said, there are 21 stocks that are between 0 to minus 10%. So 21 is like maybe 12% of the stocks that I'm holding. And then just three stocks out of 147 stocks, just 3 stocks are below 10% loss, meaning between, and the highest of that is at around 16%. So between 10 to minus 16, there's just 3 stocks. And so it really tells you that this system works. And I regularly take profit as well. I just continue to churn my portfolio, and that's a good way to accumulate profit rather than just watching it on the screen. Make sure that it's actually accumulated or returned back to you, right? So that's how it works for me so far. So let me just quickly show you a rundown of how the market is looking right now. The Nifty closed at 21,710. We have a high of 21,833. So we're not too far from the high. The good thing is that right now the market is in a bit of a consolidation. From 21,833, it went all the way down to 21,500. So it took support at 21,500. And so in the short term, as long as the market is about 21,500, the chances of the market consolidating and not falling is quite good, right? And if it, of course, breaks 21,833, that means it's going to go up, right? And this is the general process of how the market works. Okay? And that's something that we got to note and understand, because that's really helpful for all of us, right? Now, what have I been doing so far? In the last, so you can see here on my orange list, there's about 147 shares. So over the last 2-3 days, what I have been doing is gradually reducing positions in stocks that are either breaking down a bit or have come down a bit. And that's just being careful right now, because we are at the top of the market and it's good to okay. But it doesn't mean that I'm not investing. There are a few stocks that I will show to why I'm bringing money now. But technically, the market is looking good as long as it doesn't break this low of 21,500. A couple of stocks that I have in mind that have really done well for me. I'll just show you a quick list of the BSC, the Bombay Stock Exchange, that has performed incredibly well, sitting at about 280% in just 6 months. A lot of Adani stocks have done well, and this is kind of obvious because the verdict from the Supreme Court has really helped that as well. So, and I picked up some of these at really low, okay, they low at some of the lowest possible prices when back in March when the crash. So that's also doing well. And then there's quite a few stocks that I picked up. Okay, now let me quickly talk about how do we do this. Okay, how do we decide which share to pick and when to enter, right? So for that, I use something called ticker tape to figure out which stock to enter. Now, there are a lot of stocks in the stock market, okay, about 4,000 plus stocks in the NSE itself. And so it's not possible to monitor all of these stocks, right? So what I do is I use a screener within ticker tape, and I only check out the top 500 shares. The stock universe that I use is basically the Nifty 500. So I focus on the Nifty 500. That's good enough for me. And based on the technical chart analysis that I can do, combined with volume, I can figure out when to invest. But these are the stocks that I keep a track of. Right. So these stocks that I keep a track of, I will look for a technical breakout. Now, let me just show you some examples of the stocks that I recently accumulated, as well as stocks that are doing good, so that you get a good idea of how this happens. Now, for example, let's look at a stock called Butterfly Gandhima. Okay, now Butterfly Gandhima has been, way back in 2022 October, it had a high of 1,800 plus. Okay, but since then the stock has been coming down. It's tried to break out, failed, and then you can see this phase from almost way back in November 2023 to now Jan, right? That's almost 2 months where it's stuck in this range, somewhere between a low of 1,000, which again tells you that there's a good support there. Okay, people have been accumulating the stock between 1,000 to 1,100. So on Friday, it tried to break out from this range, and I think that's really important. Okay, this is probably the start of an uptrend, and I have started to accumulate Butterfly because of that. Now, just for you guys to understand what the stock is all about, it is basically into consumer discretionary electronics, and appliances. Basically, you have kitchen stoves and all of that, and they are a reasonably profitable company. Look at the financials; they've been doing decently well. In fact, actually, if you look at it after a downtick, it's starting to improve in its EPS, in its total revenue, in its profitability. So I think that's a good play and a good time to enter as well. So I've accumulated a bit of this, right? So the second stock I want to talk about is something in the same industry or category, and that is Laola. If you look at the chart for Laola, it's seen a high of around 470 in August 2023. Since then, it's been on a downtick. But if you look here, this area is very interesting. Way back in 23, it came to this area, and from there it took support and went up. Similarly, again here, you can see that it came down to 350 or so twice, and then it's starting to rebound. So 350, 340 is a good support level. In fact, 328, if you look here, 325 would be probably the last support here. And I've started to accumulate this simply because the charts look like it's a rebound. Now look at the technical chart aspect wise. If you look at this formation, it's a head and shoulder pattern, but at the bottom, which means that basically there is a lot of accumulation happening here, and it is trying to break out to form a W pattern, right? It hasn't formed it fully yet, but it's a possibility. And if you look at the volumes for the last, this bar is the volumes, right? Look at the volumes for the last few days, the average volume has been much higher than before. So I think it's a lot of people accumulating this stock. It's reasonably profitable. It's one of those stocks that have been down for a while. I think it's a good to end. So I'm accumulating the stock as well, right? This is the next stock I want to talk about, and this is called Piramal Enterprises. Now, Piramal recently had a huge downtick day because of some adverse news, and it fell. But since then, again, it's trying to break out, and you can see this trend line that's been formed. It's trying to break out from here. So about 950 or so, you're looking at a good break. So what I've been doing is when it fell down here, I've accumulated some already. But I think if it breaks out above this, I'll start to accumulate more. So I've already accumulated a bit of Piramal when it fell down here because of those adverse news. Adverse news is always a good time to buy into a good company, right? And so I've done that before with Adani's and a lot of other companies. And so I think this is a good time. So I've accumulated already over here, and I will accumulate even more if it were to break out above this trend line. Yeah. So based on the technical charts here, it looks promising that if PEL or Piramal goes above 950, would tend to accumulate even more. Right? The next stock I want to talk about is a very interesting stock. It's called HLE Glass, and now this stock has been a kind of a sideways mover for a long time. October 21, it was at 1,400 or so, and from there it has fallen quite a bit. But you can see here that there is a support. And this trend line, if you look at this, this is forming a triangle pattern over a long period of time. And it is now trying to break out from that pattern, right? So if you look at this, this pattern has formed, and now we have seen over the last 3-4 months a huge period of consolidation in this area between 900 and 490 to about 570. Okay. And so it's been in this area for quite a while. What I've seen interesting is that on Wednesday, there was a bit of an uptick in volume and this big green candle, which actually broke the previous highs for the last 2 months. And so that's when I've accumulated this HLE glass. And I'm trying to see if I can accumulate more if it breaks out again and makes it fresh high. But because it's got promise, even financially, it is looking good. We started to see an improvement in its profitability. So this is something that anyone can do. It's a matter of learning how to do this. And if you are interested, please do get in touch with me over WhatsApp. And I certainly would love to help you understand how to make technical chart analysis for yourself and to make your investment. Okay, so I hope this helped you. Please continue to look for these videos. Please continue to learn so that your stock market journey can also improve.